HiddenInSofia, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I was just in the mood of talking about a very, very weird topic. What do you think?
Weird topic it is indeed, and I am very, very excited to get into it. But before that, a quick introduction. This is me, your guy Christian, and this is my artist channel for just, painting and doing art. But you can also find me in my original one, which is Christianity, where I talk about films. And I also have a third channel on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, Anne Painter, which is my separate channel for Tudor art only from Tudor England. So this is about me. And now, Hidden Sofia, who is also called Elena, tell
I
us a little bit about yourself.
well, I'm an amateur photographer, even though I've been doing it for probably 12 or 13 years, but still a proud amateur photographer which loves to just walk around Sofia, take pictures, and mainly delve deeper into the history behind the buildings, the sculptures, just the places that we see every day. And I have my Instagram page, Hidden in Sofia, in which I try and post all of these things that I research and find. But of course, often life happens, and I'm not as consistent as I would like to be. But we're getting there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
When you say amateur photographer, I think you're a little bit too modest. But then a second thing as well I wanted to mention, Hidden Sofia, for our viewers that are not in Sofia or this country, where the hell is Sofia?
Oh, a very good point. Sofia is the capital of Bulgaria. And
And
although
Bulgaria is in the
and
Balkans, and the
Bulgaria
Balkans
is
are
in
on
Eastern
Earth.
Europe, in the
Yeah,
Balkans, I think at this point in the video, you should put a map and a big red dot,
yeah,
just
yeah.
to guide the people there. Yeah, so you may have heard about Bulgaria, and if you've heard about Bulgaria, you've probably also heard about Sofia. And I
Mm.
just want to mention that actually, even though I was born here, I love this city so much, but there are so many other places, cities, and villages in Bulgaria which are just amazing and so full of history. And actually, if I had the time, if I could do this full time, I think I would have hidden in every town and village in Bulgaria
Hidden
because
on Earth.
hidden, yeah, just hidden in Bulgaria, but specifically for every separate town and village because wherever I go, I always manage to find very interesting things or things that people maybe don't notice as much because they see them every day and they're just used to them. And it turns out that they have this deep and rich history. So if you are into history and beautiful nature and good food, I think Bulgaria will, you will find it very, uh, very nice here.
Yeah, and also if you are into like backward thinking or racism, this is the place for you.
Yeah, if you want to do an anti-commercial, these are our main, strong points.
Yeah, and shitty politics and
It's like 10 reasons why you should not come to Bulgaria.
yeah, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're a great person, you could love Bulgaria, and also if you're a piece of shit, you can also love Bulgaria.
Yeah, so it's actually universal. We
Yeah,
have
there's everything
something
for
for
everyone.
everyone. Yeah. Well,
uh,
and here I think this is a very nice introduction, although a little bit chaotic, to our main topic here, which is the infamous and and famous all over the world. I think I thought that the person that we're going to talk about was more of a Balkan phenomenon, but apparently she is famous all over the world.
yeah, she's
And
famous worldwide. Yeah.
yeah, so without further ado, today's conversation and discussion is going to be dedicated to Baba Vanga. or Grandma Vanga, or there are many iterations. There's Baba Vanga, Lela Vanga, which is Aunt Vanga. She
Anti-Vanga.
Auntie. No, okay, this brings a very different image in my mind. Vanga.
Like the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I was thinking? We
Also
could.
Vangelia, because she actually has a Greek name.
Isn't that her actual name? Her full name,
Yeah,
Vangelia?
Vangelia.
I was thinking of making a bit of a sleazy intro into this
Oh,
topic specifically because when we mentioned Bulgaria, you know, on paper, I guess in the textbooks, Bulgaria is famous across the world for some things. We have, like, I guess, famous gymnasts or
yeah,
maybe even famous artists or whatever. But this is just, on paper. It's kind of like theoretical.
yeah.
In practice, if there is one thing that we're actually famous for across the globe, it's this woman.
I just want to add here that if there is one universal law about Bulgarian for Bulgaria, it's that if we are famous for something, it's always somehow the wrong thing. I mean,
Yeah, or
it's
something
it's never,
extremely weird.
yeah, it's either very weird and peculiar or just plain stupid,
Yeah,
or even terrible. It's never like the good things. So yeah, actually you have a great
yeah.
point here.
If we are actually globally famous for anything, it's this that we have our own kind of like a modern day Nostradamus.
Yeah, a
A
Balkan
Balkan
female
Nostradamus, yeah.
Nostradamus, which is very progressive.
Yeah, and this is Baba Vanga.
Yeah.
And with this horrible intro, what can you tell us about her?
Oh, don't mind if I do. I I just fell into this rabbit hole yesterday, and I'm just so full of information. So Baba Vanga was actually born in 1911, and
Oh, she was 1 year old when the Titanic sank. Interesting.
yeah, yeah, and she was born in Strumica, which is actually in Macedonia.
Oh,
But
she's Macedonian actually.
well, yeah, actually,
Cry.
she
This
is
is the end.
Macedonian. I mean, by location, but even back then, I think she had Bulgarian citizenship. That
Uh,
things were very meshed up back
yeah,
then.
the country border was very, very fluid.
Yeah, exactly. So she was Bulgarian, a Bulgarian citizen. Then I think her mother died when she was
Mm,
relatively young, and her father went. It should have been the First World War, I think. Yeah, so he went
yeah,
and fought in the First World War. Then he came back, and I think then they moved to Petrich.
okay.
I think they moved to Petrich. Okay, I don't quote me on this. Maybe she moved later, but anyways, they moved from Strumica for sure. And so her
By the way,
early,
just a
yeah.
quick interjection before you continue with
Mm-hmm.
the story. Uh, for everyone watching, if anyone watches this, what you're seeing in the background is what was initially supposed to be just a realistic image of the face of a dead person. Then afterwards, we thought it looked like Vanga,
Mm-hmm.
which is how we came to this topic. And eventually, this same face we will turn into a more realistic death mask of Vanga.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you're looking at while we tell you the
Yeah,
great story
so
of Nostradamus.
if this strikes you as weird, just wait for part two.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it here. So yeah,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
I just checked. I used this interjection to check, and yeah, so because the family was very poor, in 1923, they moved back to the father's village, which was Novosel, or the new village.
The new village, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, her early life was marked by poverty. Um, she was without. She was growing up without a mother, and her father remarried. But Vanga, from a very early age, had to actually be a housemaker. Was it the word? Like she had to do. She had to.
Like take
help
care
with
of the house or
everything.
something?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
take care of the house, help with everything, help with the kids. She had to grow up really really fast, which was the reality for
Like
a lot of
like any
people.
Bulgarian at the time, I would
Yeah, a
say.
lot of Bulgarian people back then. And an interesting the trivia that I found is that they say that when she was a very young child, her favorite game was to pretend that she was a doctor, and so she went around her friends, and then she pretended to heal them, and she put like different grasses on them so that she can heal them. You know,
Hmm.
which I found very interesting, very
It's foreshadowing.
foreshadowing,
Yeah.
yeah, of the future. So yeah, pretty much a hard life. But again, this is not something atypical of the
Yeah.
time. And then when she was, I think about 12 years old, it's very interesting because some people say that it was a tornado that
Hmm.
happened. Some people say a sandstorm,
Yeah.
but the main idea is that when she was 12, she was again with her friends, or maybe even some of her siblings, and they went to do some chores, and then they stopped by. I think it was a meal or something. They just stopped, to
Yeah.
rest. And then just this weird sandstorm or tornado just appeared out of nowhere. It supposedly pushed the other children around, but it took Vanga and actually, um, took her very far from where they were. I'm not sure of the distance, but it just took her and
Straight to Greece.
yeah, yeah, and after this after the storm, when the other children went to check on her, her eyes were all bloody and she
Mm,
couldn't see, and they say that very shortly after, she progressively started losing her sight.
yeah.
And so they tried to do surgery on her, but it was very hard and it was very costly. They tried once. It was not successful. I think the story went that
Can you imagine surgery at the time?
yeah, I don't I don't even want to imagine because
They
surgery
used
and
force to do it.
torture, yeah, surgery and torture, in that period I think were kind of interchangeable.
The surgery room was probably in a barn somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And what's even weirder is that, according to the legend, it was very hard for her father to collect the money needed for, because she needed I think, a second surgery.
Mm,
But he collected half the money. He sold everything that was to sell, and then he sent Vanga with a neighbor of his, which was maybe a bit more, wealthy. And
mm,
when he took her to the doctor, and the doctor saw this person, he thought that the person was a wealthy relative and a stingy one who didn't want to pay the whole price. And when Vanga told him that she has only half of the sum, he said, "Well then," oh, I don't know why I was going to say, "Well then, Lassie."
Lassie. Lassie.
No, he said he suddenly became Scottish,
Oh yeah, yeah.
or a pirate, who knows? But he said, okay, then I'm going to only do half the surgery, and then I'm gonna finish the rest when you give me the rest of the money,
How do you
which
do
is
half a surgery on eyes? Is it just one eye or something?
no. In her case, it was both eyes, and nobody can say for sure what has happened. I just heard about maybe it was glaucoma or something. The thing that it's I can't remember the correct term, when there is like a curtain, in front of
Oh
your
yeah,
eyes. Yeah,
like cataracts.
yeah. Maybe it was this. Not
But
quite
still,
sure.
I mean, even so, how do you do half a surgery?
No, I think he was just trying to, scare her so that
Oh
she
yeah,
can convince her relative, who wasn't her relative, to
there
give
was
the
a
whole amount. Yeah,
there,
but
there was a card like this in Cards Against Humanity,
oh,
a half botched circumcision.
yeah. Well, he actually he kind of kept his word because don't know if he did like half the surgery or the whole surgery, but it wasn't successful. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the vision, got better for a short while, and then again
yeah.
started getting worse and worse, and she lost all of her vision.
And ironically, he did her a favor because that's how she became
Yeah,
famous afterwards.
yeah. I'm not sure we would have heard of her if it
Yeah.
wasn't for yeah,
What kind of a fucking prophet are you if you're not blind?
yeah. Like seriously, seriously. I also wanted to point out something else which I found. You know, I find it really peculiar that there is another Bulgarian female prophet, which
Oh,
is
is there?
a little bit younger than Vanga. She was born in, I think, 1880 or something. And her
So you
stories,
mean older?
oh, yeah, oh, sorry, older, not
Okay.
younger, yeah, a little bit older. And it's the same story almost. I mean,
Uh huh.
it's not clear if she had a hard life, but she lost her vision.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she started being a prophet after that,
So you're saying it was like a trend at the time?
Well, it seems like it. It's very strange. I just started wondering when I read about her. It's Stoina. Just let me check. Prepodobna Stoina.
Prepodobna, so the Reverend Stoina.
Yeah, the Reverend Stoina. But there's many similarities in their stories because again, she helped people with her prophecies. She lost her vision, just like Vanga.
Yeah.
I think a main difference, in which is very something very interesting, is that Stoina was actually very liked by the church. I think she actually, yeah, let me check. Oh yeah, so she built a little church, chapel,
Okay.
and Vanga also tried to do the same
Yeah.
later on. But the church, was the institution, the
Yeah,
Orthodox
yeah.
Church. They actually approved of Stoino, or at least that's what I've gathered, and they did not approve of Vanga. The
Ooh,
actually,
sassy.
yeah, which is very, very interesting because the story starts just so close. But maybe even though Vanga was also she was a believer, she believed in God,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think maybe she was coming off a bit too new age for the church because after she lost her vision, she started getting these dreams, which actually in these dreams she saw the prophecies, and she claimed that she heard voices. She called them the aliens, so she believed in aliens. Yeah, and so yeah, I think that didn't really sit well with the church. So maybe that was it, but
You
at
know what I'm
least
thinking, by the way, now that
yeah.
you say it like this, the church may have agreed with Stoina and disagreed with Vanga
Hmm.
because unlike Stoina, Vanga was actually connected to the Socialist Party and the communist regime
Hmm.
in Bulgaria, which is famously against any kind of religion. They're like atheists. At least they were hardcore atheists at the time. So if you associate with a party that is atheist, it's kind of natural that the official church of the country would have been against you. They were not doing it because of actual morals or whatever. It's
Oh
not like
yeah.
they cared about that. They were doing it because the party was acting against the church.
Oh my God. Actually, she also lived around Petri, which is where Vanga lived for the bigger part of her life.
Oh, so it's a
So
local trend.
there are actually many similarities. And
Yeah.
look, now that I checked a little bit more, maybe she was not the reverend title was actually given to her by her fellow villagers. So maybe
Okay.
she was not officially accepted, but at least they were not calling her that she was spoken to by Satan, which is something they said about Vanga. But
Oh.
your point was very good. She did actually help the Socialist Party a lot, which is very, very fascinating to me. So from what I gathered, her father was part of the VMRO party. So the whole family was communist socialist inclined. So she was not opposed to the ideology, or at least that's that's how it looks.
She was
Uh,
definitely in the swamp,
yeah,
quote
but
unquote.
at the same time, at first the party did not like her. This is again very interesting. Apparently, at first they were very suspicious of her, but then something turned around, and it's not clear what turned around. And they
Mm.
started working with her and actually helping her because, they say that after she married, that was it's whole different
She was
story.
married?
She was married, yeah. She went to a home for blind people, in which actually she was having a great life because there
Mm.
was regular food. They taught them different skills, taught them
Yeah.
how to read, the Braille
Does she
alphabet.
does she have children?
She have children? No, no, she didn't have children of her own, but she actually took care of a boy and a girl. I'm not sure again how this happened, how this came around. She when she went to this home, there
Like
she
what?
met a man and who she fell in love with, and he was from a rich family.
Oh
And she
yeah.
was
Oh yeah, she fell in love with him for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and he was telling her that he wants to marry her, and that the family is rich, so they will look after them as well.
And by the way, maybe this is how she got in the good graces of the party because
No,
if the
no,
guy she married, yeah.
this wasn't the guy she married. That's what's actually interesting. This
Mm.
wasn't the guy she married. She wanted to marry him, but just when she was about to write her father actually wrote to her that she has to immediately come home because I think his new wife had gotten ill, and or maybe she even died. I think she even died at that point. They had like two children or three children, and then while giving birth to the fourth, she actually died. So Vanga had to, leave this chance of having a good and comfortable life and just go back to her
Mm.
father's village. And then, oh yeah, I think it was in the Novo Selo where she was helping around the house, but she didn't go out much. But people started coming to her to
Oh
ask.
yeah.
I think the first prophecy she actually made were about people were coming to her and asking if their relatives are going to come back from World War II.
Okay.
And about that time, a young man came, Dimitar Gushtarov, I think was his name, and he was very worried. Can't quite remember. It was something.
By the way, are these people alive?
No,
Because if
no,
they are, maybe we need to beep out the names.
no, no, no. They're not.
Okay.
All of them are. I mean, Vanga died in 1996, and
What about this guy
this
and
guy
her?
actually died before her, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
very dramatic. But yeah, I'll get there. So he came to her to ask about the problem he had, and they spent a lot of time together. They were talking, and then one day she just told her sister, Luca, I think was her sister's name. And she told her, I'm going to get married to this person. And then they get married, and I think it was then that she went to Petrich. So if my timeline is correct, so she was in Strumica, born in Strumica, and lived, while she was young. Then moved to Novosel, and then when she got married, she moved to Petrich.
She became a
And
city girl.
yeah, citizen. Yeah, she was moving in life.
Carrie Bradshaw in Petrich.
Yeah, exactly. So when she went there in the beginning, things were going great, but then something happened with her husband. I think he was going through things, and he started drinking heavily, and
Mm.
then at some point he died.
From cirrhosis.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And she took it very
That
hard.
is just so traditionally Bulgarian.
Yeah, yeah, not just Bulgarian, just Balkan.
Balkan, yeah, yeah.
It's very stereotypically Balkan, yeah, a Balkan story. And she was very heartbroken. They say that she laid in his feet, you know, when he was dying. She didn't leave
Oh,
his side and so
the
on.
poor drunk.
Yeah, but at the same time, when people were still at that point coming to see her to ask. about their problems to, seek help from her. And her relatives asked her, "Do you want us to send them back?" And she said, "No, they need me. I need to continue, my duty." And so she continued, but she was having problems because more and more people were coming, and she wasn't able to, regulate what was
Yeah,
happening. And so
it was a
that's when,
growing business.
yeah, and that's when actually the state suddenly decided to,
But was she
butt in.
up until this point? Was she like taking money from them for these
No,
prophecies?
at least from what I've read, she did not take money. It's actually when the state started
Oh,
helping her, they put, a small tax. I'm not sure how
okay.
much was it, but apparently it was the state's idea. But here's when things are getting interesting. Before that, the state was supposedly looking at her like an issue because, as you
Yeah,
said, they were atheists. So anything like supernatural, religious, or whatever it is was not in line, with the party's ideals.
yeah,
At the same time, I think at some point they realized that, especially when the present is uncertain and people have problems and there's not enough money and so on, they need something to hold on to. And at this point, the figure of the prophet actually became quite, useful for them.
marketable. Yeah,
Yeah, and so they actually allegedly they sent her on a vacation. They sent her on a vacation and then they remodeled her house. And while remodeling and, renovating the house, they actually put listening, devices,
yeah.
microphones. There was like a wooden panel behind her. So
Hmm.
they put microphones, at the
They just
points
bugged the
where,
house.
yeah, they
Yeah,
bugged the house where she was having her visitors. So the main points of the house where she would sit with her visitors and talk with
hmm.
them. And actually, it's after reading all these articles, I still can't really tell if she was participating like willingly and happily, or was she against it? Because some people claim that, she was actually enjoying this. Other people claim that she did not know. And there
Hmm.
are the third type of people who claim that she knew that the house was booked, and actually she warned some of the people that she was talking about. When they wanted to talk something, and she just squeezed their hand, and she was
Yeah.
saying they have bugged the house. They're listening to everything I say. So I can't quite put my finger on if she was, you know, uh,
Good or
uh,
evil.
yeah, if she was good or evil, if she was a happy camper and she was just going along with the party because it brought her, some dividends and,
Yeah.
money and so on, or if she was unwilling, an unwilling participant.
You
And,
know, as with all things in history,
yeah,
it was probably in the middle.
maybe in
Yeah.
the middle, yeah. Oh,
She probably did have qualms about it, but at the same time she liked the money.
She she definitely did because, you know they also, what they did, again allegedly. At first, her main, how can I call it, clientele or patients, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah, her main clientele was just ordinary people. But then
yeah,
when the party got in on
yeah.
on the
She
prophecies,
got she got to officials.
she got more officials, she got
Yeah,
more famous people from Bulgaria, and then she started getting famous people and officials from other countries as well, which was
yeah.
very welcome for the party because
So
they
she
wanted.
basically she basically became like a small little Pentagon.
Yeah, and almost she became like a spy, because
Yeah.
they actually, again allegedly briefed her about people.
Hmm.
They gave her the intel about them, and then when the people actually came, and she wowed them with these prophecies and these,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, things that she knew, and she was actually being informed beforehand.
yeah, yeah. This
And
is how the magic happened.
that's usually how it happens,
Yeah,
but people fell for it, and people loved her. And especially, just yesterday I found out, especially Russian people. She actually quite liked Russia. She was very pro Russia, from what I've gathered. but she allegedly made some, prophecies about Russia and how Russia will, prevail over America. It will go through hardship, but then prevail.
Yeah.
And I guess that is why she was quite popular then, and she is still popular, which actually was mind blowing to me. I did not know she was such an, international phenomenon. But yeah, in Russia to this day they are very well, acquainted with Baba Vanga. I mean, just I think a few years ago, or maybe I don't know, a year ago, I'm not quite sure, but they actually made a TV series about her, Vangelia. They have a, I think it's not an official word, more of a slang word, but they have the word vanguvat from Vanga, which is like prophesize. And they also allegedly, because again, just read it in an article, I haven't checked, but they're supposed to also have this phrase when somebody asks you something that you just can't possibly know, and you answer, "How should I know?" It's not like I'm Baba Vanga or something, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she seems to be her own cultural phenomenon over there, as well as here in Bulgaria. But
She is, yeah.
yeah,
I would say that to this very day, the Russian propaganda machine is still using her in this
oh
region.
yeah.
It's just a matter of soft power.
I think it's using her in both regions because even back then she did some sort of prophecy, and there was this Russian, was it a scientist? Was it, I don't know what he was, but he actually interpreted it, in a favorable way for
And by the
Russia.
way, let me just state this for the sake of people hating on us if they hear
Hmm.
this. We are in no way pro-American. The
No.
American Empire can suck my ass. It's one of the main sources of evil and suffering in the world. So we're neither pro-American, neither pro-Russian. They can both suck me.
Yeah, I mean, both have their issues, like huge issues.
Yeah.
And this is not to say that one is better than the other. You can see that on both sides there is propaganda. And the fact is that Russia, I think, has even more experience in propaganda than America. Of course, America has now their fair share of it too.
No,
But
I think the reason you think this is
maybe it's
because
because it's
is
more successful here. I don't
exactly
know.
the opposite. Yeah, you can see more plainly the Russian propaganda because it's way stupider, and you can see not so well the American one because it's better.
Well, that is true to an extent, but at the same time, I think although it is stupider, like it's plainer to see, I think it's more successful here. I think it's more
And
prevalent here
in this
in
region,
Bulgaria. I mean,
well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. It's more prevalent depending on which part of the population you're looking at. If
oh
it's
yeah,
older
it's
people,
yeah,
yes. If it's younger people, with younger people and younger generations, the West over here in Bulgaria has definitely won the game
oh yeah,
by a
it's
very
just
large
social
margin.
media and
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
culture, definitely. Yeah, you're.
Culturally, Russia over here in Bulgaria has lost.
But they still have their grasp on, as you said, the older
Yeah,
generations.
yeah, yeah.
And most of them, I mean, there are some very old people who are pro Russia, but there are also many people who are middle aged and are pro Russia, for a variety of reasons. So
Yeah, yeah.
the propaganda still has power, although it may be fading away. It still has power. But anyway, she seems to be big there. She still, as you said, is big here. And I mean, even when I searched yesterday, I found that even today in 2026 there are, what are Vanga's prediction about 2026? And here we
Yeah,
come to
yeah.
something interesting. So there are so many prophecies that people claim that Vanga told, about 9/11,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
I even
eh,
remember when 9/11 happened. There were
yeah,
all these in the newspapers and on TV, all these people saying that, oh, Ivanka said that, and I quote, two birds of iron will crash into the high
exactly.
towers or whatever. So this is that old, and it hasn't
Absolutely.
stopped.
And they even claim, I mean, this started back then. They also apparently claim that she predicted Diana's death, Princess Diana, because she said that in 1990. Was it six or seven? I think
Seven. It was
seven,
seven.
yeah.
Yeah.
In 1997, a very important royal figure will die. Supposedly, that's what she said, and supposedly this is about, Princess Diana.
Mm.
And they just, the prophecies go on and on for each year. And even today, in this article about 2026, she supposedly somehow predicted
It will
Iran
rather.
and Israel and all the things that are happening now. Oh, she also
Yeah.
predicted
Yeah.
Obama, you know.
Of course she did. Yeah.
And here I wanted to ask you what you think about these predictions, but before that, I just wanted to say that here is the interesting contradiction in her case, because of course this it is the same with Nostradamus and maybe every prophet that got famous, like in a pop culture way. So people keep adding to their legacy of prophecies, of predictions, and just the things get so I don't know, murky, that at some point you can't really know if this prediction was even remotely said by the person,
You
or
know,
it was
I
just added on later.
I would say that it's very, very interesting how these prophecies get famous after the event has occurred.
Every time, every time, it's never before.
Yeah.
And at the same time, some of her prophecies, which are she made before the fact, for instance, that we're going to speak with aliens. It was in the 2026 article. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's soon we're going to speak with aliens, or the Third World War and things like that. So there are so many of these prophecies. But
You know what's the stupidest thing is?
what
So I don't even think that that she must have been well read enough or
Oh,
intelligent
no,
enough
no.
to even think about fucking aliens.
No, no, she actually, I think she did think, because as I told you, she referred to these creatures, these extraterrestrial creatures that were giving her these predictions and prophecies. So she was acquainted with that. I'm not quite sure how, but
Hmm.
she was. But you know,
Maybe she saw
uh,
Star Wars.
yeah, yeah, probably on 3D IMAX.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's actually interesting is, growing up, I've heard all of these predictions, and of course I found it incredibly stupid and unlikely that she could have predicted all that. But I just thought that people are taking things that she said out of context and trying to reinterpret them to suit the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's this foundation in her name. She actually even was part of it while she was alive. And the people that are members of the foundation, they actually claim that she didn't make any of these prophecies. She never made political prophecies, prophecies about the world, and so on. All of these are things that journalists and just people and
Yeah,
whoever
the
wanted to
press.
use her image and name, they just put these words into her mouth. The
Yeah.
only prophecies that she supposedly made were about people and their personal lives.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know, how do you see it? I mean, it's quite easy for me to believe that she didn't say all of these things. At the same time, with her possible connections to the
The
state
party.
secret services,
Yeah.
I think she would have had a lot of political intel, and it would have been easy for her to make these type of predictions when she had the information fed to her beforehand. What do you think?
No, I don't think. So I don't think she had this kind of a high level intel from the government. I mean, first of all, the government was stupid. It's not like they were genius or whatever. It was notoriously stupid. The communist government in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have had this like brilliant intel of what's going to happen across the globe in like 50 years. That's bullshit. So I don't think she did have intel on people specifically, and this was just so that she could like ensnare them,
Mm-hmm.
for them to talk to her, and give her more information that the party could potentially use against them, and so on and so forth. As for the question of whether she did make these predictions, I don't think she did.
Yeah.
First, it's because, as I said, they became famous after the events happened. And second, because I can give you a very, very perfect parallel of this sort, which is Nostradamus.
Mm-hmm.
He lived like way earlier, I think it was the 16th century. And the situation with him is really, really, I mean, he wasn't a blind prophet. He was like a regular guy. He was like,
He was a regular prophet,
yeah, he was
not
a
a
regular
cool
prophet.
prophet, you know.
Yeah, he just dabbled. He liked to dabble in, science, quote unquote science, because at the time it was a mashup of like metaphysics and bullshit
Yeah.
like this. But yeah, science, medicine, and whatever. He didn't even think of himself as a prophet or whatever. This prophet form of Nostradamus came like way after the actual person had gone. And in the span of the centuries, you have this same thing developing of, ooh, he said this, he said that. When something, major happens across the world, he said it. It was his prediction.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Vanga. People just like to hijack cultural icons like this and, as you said, mold them into
Yeah.
what suits them psychologically, whether it be for like political purposes or for emotional support. People come up with all sorts of crap for their own purpose and without this thing having had an actual base in reality.
It's very useful. So because these people typically are long gone.
Yeah,
So they can't, put the record straight and say, I did not say this or this is not true.
yeah,
So they're long dead, which makes it very easy to put words in their mouth and say,
yeah,
oh, according to some sources, she said this. So they can't really set the record straight, as I said. They
yeah,
have this mythical appeal, which instantly makes whatever words you put in their mouth much more, important and convincing.
yeah.
And
It's the
you can
same
actually
historical.
you can
Yeah,
do
go
this
ahead.
for every year. Just look, it's the same with Nostradamus, it's the same with Vanga. So each new year they're okay, what are these person's prediction about this year? And which is
Yeah,
just I mean, okay, maybe we could say that
it's a
Vanga
pattern.
could envision the 2000s and 2020s, but do you think Nostradamus in the 16th century could actually, look that far and see, I wonder what will happen in 2026? you
No,
know?
you're asking me if I think they had actual abilities.
Oh, no, no. But
I
you can
don't think
actually
any
touch on
of
that
them.
too.
Yeah, I don't think any of them have. I don't believe in people being able to have these abilities at all. Like, I don't believe in prophets and prophecies and all this bullshit. It's completely false for me. The thing is, it's a pattern for people to pick this up and use it for their own convenience.
Hmm.
And so you can, first of all, you can't blame them because it's just people. That's how people are. And second of all, you also cannot completely blame the prophets themselves. Like, I'm not saying that Vanga was a bad person or whatever. If she took money from the government, I mean, who can blame her? If I lived
Yeah.
at the time, maybe I would have taken the money too because I had to survive or whatever. You can never blame them for this because it's just a human reaction to whatever is happening around you during your lifetime. Now, if I have to like pinpoint something that I would blame her for, and again, it's not exactly blame because I don't think she was smart enough to realize it. But if I had to point out something that I dislike about the whole thing, specifically about her personally, I dislike the thing that she exhibits as all these prophets, which is you can see her reveling in this cult of personality.
Hmm.
She definitely had, how can you call it, like complex or whatever, a god
A
complex
God
that she,
complex, yeah.
yeah, yeah, she definitely had it. She indulged in it, and on the side, she took money from it.
Well,
I can't blame her for the money. I could blame her for being a dishonest person.
but actually, I mean, of course, you can't blame her for being dishonest, but can we know for sure if she was dishonest? Because there are some theories that she actually had some kind of mental illness, and people who actually believe the things they're saying, even though they are crazy and delusional, they're the most dangerous people because they truly believe in what they say, and people feel their passion and, feel that they believe in what they say. And I think these are actually the type of people who can gather the most followers, the most fans.
Yeah,
So, in a way,
I
I'm not
mean,
sure she can be blamed for that either.
maybe this is in the
Who
middle
knows?
too, because she might have been at first just dishonest, and then eventually, gradually, as things progressed, she might have
Oh,
believed her
that
own
too.
self.
That
So
too.
anyway,
And it's very hard to say. And times were very different back then. And not only she may have needed the money to survive, but if she did not cooperate, there was a big possibility she
Yeah,
would not
yeah,
survive because they would have just, killed her off or sent her to a camp or something like that. So maybe she did not have too much of a choice. But as you
yeah,
said, I do have this inkling, this feeling that she kind of really reveled into this, and that it got to her head. I don't know
yeah,
if she
yeah.
if she could be blamed per se for it, but I do have that feeling too that
If you
she
have to
enjoyed it
blame
a little
her,
bit too much.
yeah, if we have to blame her, then this means that we have to blame not just her, but the circumstances and people around her that enabled
Yeah,
this. So the blame, as always again in history, the blame and the situation is always in the middle. You can't blame just one person.
absolutely.
You have to blame the times and all the people that were involved. And I used to be a lot more, let's say a decade ago, I used to
Mm.
be a lot more aggressive towards such things, especially like religious bullshit because I'm an atheist. I used to be one of these annoying, in your face atheists, always asking people why. Blah, 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 blah. Now I'm not like this, and I understand why people need this, and I understand the circumstances around it. So I am not as inclined to be like blah against
Yes,
her and against what happened to
as
her. In a
as
way,
uh, warrior like.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I think you're just getting older and growing wiser, and you start seeing that it's not that simple. It's not just black and white, and it's just a I think a natural process of maturing, because not everybody does, but at least in our case, I
no,
think, because for a very long time I was kind of hesitant to call myself an atheist, because I was watching these type of atheists, as you said, that are very in your face and very combative and so on. And although I felt they that they wanted to help the other people out, because of course there are so many issues with the church, abusing its power, taking money from people, and so on. But it was just too much for me. So I started steering away and saying, oh, maybe I'm just agnostic, because I just did not want to associate with this. But now that I've also grown older, I can actually feel comfortable that I do not believe in anything and I'm an atheist, but I again do not associate myself with this type of atheism. It's just, as you said, the more, mellow, balanced kind of outlook on life.
yeah. With me, it wasn't like I changed because I didn't want to associate with these people anymore. Uh, because I think of it in a way that's like I care about what is real now, and based on this, I make up my own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it's not that I changed because I matured generally, is that I matured, I guess you could say, intellectually and culturally,
Mm-hmm.
because as time passes, you realize why people need religion,
Oh yeah.
and not just religion, but mystical stuff like prophets and prophecies and legends and all of these things. They are like an abstract cultural skeleton for the people, for the whole mass of people that helps them live together as a society and have like a common sort of beliefs, which it creates in the back of your mind a solid like wall to lean
Mm-hmm.
on whenever you feel distress.
A map to guide you, in this chaos, which is life.
Yeah, just some kind of a foundation.
Yeah.
And the thing about me is that because I don't believe these things, I have different kinds of foundations, and I don't need to participate in the religious ones and in the let's call them the popular foundations like religions or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't participate in them because I don't need them because I have my own, and at the same time, I understand why most people need them. So now I'm not as raving against them as I was before, because I can see the need for their use, for their
Yeah,
purpose.
I think maybe because as you said, you had other foundations and it was hard for you to understand why people needed them. And for me, it was actually not that hard because, as you know, before I actually became an atheist and just more, scientifically orientated, more rational, I actually had to go through almost every esoteric, new age type of belief that you could think of, to going through like crystals,
Yeah.
numerology,
Energy.
divinations, yeah, horoscopes, astrology, all of these things while trying to find my, my way in life.
Yeah.
And actually, before I settled into having a more rational and scientific outlook on life, I had a very hard time when I started changing. I had a very hard time. I felt like somebody had took my foundation, as you said. I felt just
Yeah.
I have nothing to lean on, and I was thinking like, what am I going to do now if I don't believe these things? How
Yeah.
can I go on? And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. So I
This is what
can I can
this
see.
is I think the defining difference between us and other species.
Mhm.
Because a dog on the street or like a goat in the barn or an elephant in the zoo or a tiger in the jungle or whatever the fuck it is, if you leave it with nothing, it doesn't care about not having a foundation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you take a person, a human, and you leave them in like a vacuum of complete lack of ideas and complete lack of, whatever it is psychologically, they will kind of fall apart. I
Yeah.
think maybe this is a side effect of our at this point maybe overly developed brains. So because we're so complex at this point in terms of brain structure, we need to have this abstract foundation in our thoughts to be able to survive.
Yeah, and actually, our brain loves stories,
Yeah,
it loves having
drama.
explanations of everything. And yeah, of course, it loves it loves a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
And so we are,
Religion is drama if you think about it. All
yeah,
religions,
it
they're
is.
drama.
These things could be serialized, like turn into these
Yeah.
Netflix shows, and people would eat them up. Can you
Yeah.
imagine
Netflix
on
Muhammad.
this episode of the boat and the Jesus?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But
So
anyway,
I just wanted to ask you about that thing you said that you don't believe in people having these type of psychic abilities. I don't believe in that as well. But I always find it hard to actually say it with 100%. Like, no, this cannot happen. This is not possible because as a scientifically inclined person, I want to see evidence, okay? And I want to see the logic behind things. And so when somebody tells me that okay, this woman or man or whatever was able to predict so many things or able to guess so many things about me and my past, I always start thinking, okay, how could they have done it? It must be psychological. It must be they must have previous information from someone else, or maybe just by experience, by watching so many people, they just intuitively
have you had a situation
guess.
where someone predicted your future or guessed your
No,
past or whatever?
me personally, no. Not I didn't have such a situation, but I've heard from other people, and it's very hard for me. I mean, if
Give me
I
give me the
can,
specifics. What questions did they guess?
it's not like questions, more like
More like broad statements, isn't it?
of course, I'm well aware of the what was it, the Barnum effect, but at the same time, sometimes it seems impossible. Like how how can you explain logically that, for instance, they guess things from this person's past, or because for the future it's actually easy. You can say that people in retrospect just change up things so that they can fit better. So
Yeah.
I can understand the future predictions, but when they guess things of your past, that's what interests me. How do you think this can be explained if the person did not provide any significant information?
I think that I don't even need to explain it if it's a fucking anecdote. I just don't care about anecdotes. People
Mm-hmm.
make up all kinds of bullshit, or even if it's not completely made up, they always sprinkle something on top of it to make it sound more convincing because they enjoy the story themselves and they enjoy telling it.
No, I don't. I mean, probably there are a lot of people who do that, but I think that a lot of people genuinely believe.
Give me an example.
I don't know. For instance, my grandmother has a friend of her age. So her whole life she went to these psychic women and so on, asking them for, I mean, every decision she ran through them. I guess it's addictive for some people. And
Yeah,
as you said,
they enjoy it. They enjoy dabbling in this.
they just,
Whether you're the prophet or the person who goes to the prophet,
oh, the prophet is
every
there. Is this is another question.
yeah, everybody enjoys it in their way, and everybody revels in making up these stories, even if it's not again made up. They sprinkle on top of it to make it sound more convincing. So when you tell me right now that my grandma's friends
Yeah,
or
it
whatever,
sounds like a friend
and
of a
I'm like,
friend.
this is
Yeah.
complete horseshit. I would never believe these people, especially your grandma.
Oh no.
Because you know the grandma archetype has this very wonderful trait of making up stuff to tell to the grandchildren. Because my grandma, I'll give you the opposite example. My grandma, when I was a child, she went to a fortune teller in our village to ask her if, first of all, if I will survive my asthma,
Hmm.
which I did, and she's like, "Oh, she guessed," and I'm like, "It's a 50-50% scenario." So
She
if
was
she
just
guessed it,
lucky.
she was just fucking lucky. And the second
Oh,
thing she told my grandma is she asked her if I'm gonna get married, and she said that I was gonna get married 4 times and get divorced 4 times. Tell me, how much
wow.
did she guess there?
Did she think you were like Henry VIII or something?
Yeah, please. And if she got it this wrong in one of the questions, how can I believe the other question?
I mean, you're totally right here. But at the same time, there's always the counter argument that, yeah, of course, there are a lot of people that are just scammers, but there are some people, there are these, you know, exceptions to the rule, which actually they just know things. They just guess everything correctly. They don't usually don't take money. This is interesting. I mean, again, it's hearsay, but from what I've heard about uh, these type of people, they're just usually live in a secluded village. They don't take money, they don't accept everyone, so on and so forth. And it's interesting. I don't know, I mean, as I said, just logically I know this can't be true, but sometimes when somebody else is telling me this, I can be certain, I can just say with total certainty, no, this cannot be happening, because I cannot find a logical explanation. Me personally, I've never went to like a psychic woman since I've been like a grown person, an adult. For instance, when I was a child, I had this period where I was very, I was having these fears and so on. And of course, as every Balkan child is a canon event, I was taken to um, a psychic woman who was what was the word?
Making
Uh,
bullets,
yeah, it's the bullet thing when she's uh
molding bullets.
but I'm not sure, is it actually a bullet or just
I don't think so.
wax, like
It's some kind of
she
a. I think it's some kind of a wax bullshit that they make up
yeah,
as a
well,
kind of a
well,
voodoo
they
doll.
actually, they melt the wax and then they put it in cold water and takes a certain form and they divinate, on the
Yeah,
form.
yeah.
And I remember that at that point, my fears were related to seeing a coffin in front of our block, which was actually a neighbor of mine.
Hmm.
His grandmother had died, and so I think this coffin, because that at that point really
That scared you.
scared me so much, and this just started me on some very weird spiral. And I saw the car, the funeral car, and I
Hmm.
saw the coffin. I did not see the person inside. And the wax impression was actually of something that resembled a car, and there was this cat in front of it, or something like a cat, which at that point, when she was telling us about it, I kind of again thought, okay, this neighbor of mine has a cat. So I somehow, added it up, but I
Hmm.
don't think this was accurate. It was just, again, pure luck, as you said. And then my other experience was when I was in high school, and I'm not sure if it's the same with boys, but at least for us girls, it was very, very popular. There was always a grandmother of some of the girls in the class, or maybe a mother, who was being able to,
Tell the
uh,
future with
tell the
beads.
future with cards, or coffee divination. This was very, very popular. and it was
Yeah,
in
my,
very
my
high
grandma used to do it
demand.
with beans. Yeah.
Well, I've never, I mean, I've heard about the beans, but at least around me, there was nobody who was actually divinating on beans. But the coffee thing, so, coffee prophecies,
Yeah,
coffee
coffee prophecies.
divination, and the cards were very, very popular. And of
Mm.
course, they were normal playing cards. I mean, at that point, tarot cards were not very popular, and if they existed at all, I mean, if you could buy them here in Bulgaria, they would have been very, very expensive. And I was not able to go to the grandmother of one of my classmates who was very popular for, doing this, but I went to the mother of a friend of mine, and she actually somehow guessed a lot of things, but I always was left with the feeling that my friend was somehow, fed her information. I don't know.
Oh,
I
sleazy.
Of course, I mean, she said that she never said anything, but it was just so weirdly specific, you know. Um, and
Well,
this is my
unlike
experience.
you, if you ask me if I can be completely certain that all this is bullshit, I absolutely am. People just like people either like how can I say it? They either like dabbling in it or like also being the center of attention. Like the thing you said about people in the villages who don't take money,
Yeah.
and you're saying this like it's kind of a plus that helps you believe them more or whatever because
Well,
that
I
makes
think
them
it
good
actually
people.
is because there's this stereotype or this archetype that a true seer would be so, transcendent above
Who refuse
everything
the
that
money.
he would refuse the money because he's not doing that to enrich
And that
herself or himself.
and I agree with that, but you're forgetting something else. Even if you don't give them money, this doesn't mean that there's nothing in it for them,
Oh,
which is
definitely.
the psychological jerk off.
It's
The
actually not only psychological, because even if they don't explicitly want money, people will, on their own free will, just go and gift them things, so they can
yeah,
still actually receive things without asking for them, which makes it even better because they can look, from their high horse and be like, "Oh, I don't need money. I'm just so above all of these things."
just think about what is like the one most famous thing that Jesus preached, like give away all your money and possessions.
Yeah.
You think he didn't feel like a messiah for fucking saying this? If he said it actually, because that's another
If
question.
he
But
had.
just
If,
uh, just you playing the non-money grabbing, non-egotistical angel gives you this kind of psychological pleasure of just being this high up person, like just a cult of personality, and people enjoy
Mhm.
it. So I think this is a huge part of it. Even without payment, they still gain. And what they gain is not material, but more like psychological. People enjoy being like feeling important.
And maybe that brings me to my next question. Do you think that this this is so universal? I mean, I'm not sure if it's in every country, but at least for Bulgaria and the Balkan countries, do you think that this idea, this archetype of the seer, the prophet, is so universal that it would continue on and on throughout the years, and even maybe
Yeah.
like 10 or 20 or 50 or even 100 years, there would still be these type of people who can supposedly see in the future?
Well, I guess you can think of it more broadly as it's not about just, profits. It's about people who form around themselves a center of attention. You can
Hmm.
compare this to, let's say, a celebrity nowadays. Just like oh, Vanga said this 20 years ago when something
Yeah.
happens. Nowadays, you have like, for example,
Oh, Sabrina Carpenter.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
wore
famous
this
person.
or said this. Yeah.
Yeah, a famous person says something and it becomes all the rage across the globe. It's just this element of celebrity, whether it be a political celebrity, a religious one, a cultural one, whatever it is. It's evident all across history that people use people or want to become centers of attention,
Hmm.
and this just gives, how can I say it? It has a value of entertainment for everyone.
Oh, it has, yeah. And also, I think just people want to believe in something, in
Yeah,
whatever it is. And so it's just a game with two players. On one side is the people who just want to believe, and on the other side is the person who enables them to believe
yeah,
by playing the role, by playing the character. So yeah, I mean, what I wanted to say was, it's not that I'm not certain that uh these people cannot have abilities. It's more like I really struggle sometimes to pinpoint how are they doing it. I mean, I logically know that there has to be some kind of way. It's either a trick, either like a strategy, maybe manipulation, maybe, as I said, just looking for information. I mean, can you imagine, especially in modern times, like hiring a hacker to hack the people who want
yeah,
who want to ask you questions, and just gathering intel on them before they come to you, so that you can then wow them with your uh,
yeah. I
knowledge.
guess with this one, I immediately think about this conundrum about the moon landing, the original moon landing. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
so many people disbelieve it and whatever. And when you
yeah.
look
To
at
this
like
day, even
to
even
this,
though they just went around the moon, there are still people who say like, but they
there's the
didn't
people who believe
land
this
on
one
it,
was
right?
fake. But the thing I wanted to point out is that there's people who like the people who disbelieve. Uh, Most of them are like, oh, if it's real, how do you explain there's no stars or whatever? How do you explain this? How do you explain that? And it's like, just because you're not knowledgeable enough to understand the topic does not mean it's not true.
Oh yeah, this
So in
is
this case, even if you don't get the mechanism behind how these people
does not
learn
mean,
this
yeah.
about you, does not mean that they're actually psychic. It just
it's
means you haven't found out yet how they did
it's
it.
the scientific basis for everything. You
No.
just need more information,
Yeah, yeah.
typically. So
And this
yeah.
is why I completely and utterly disbelieve any of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's time. It was a great discussion. I really loved it. And later on we can continue in the next part with the dressing of the
The
mask.
dressing up of a death mask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can continue
In the
talking about
second
this.
part,
Yeah.
yeah, and maybe I guess we will test it on live or whatever.
Yeah, that would be great. So
And
see
that's
you there,
it
hopefully.
from us. Yeah, see
Yeah.
you there. I hope we're alive
Yeah.
when we get there, so we'll see how the world goes.
Yeah.
And that's it. Bye.
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 Bye.